Hi there, my name is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I'd like to talk to you today about how to best prepare for your Chapter 7, Section 341 Meeting of Creditors hearing, which is going to be in cases in the Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta Division. It's going to be at the Russell Federal Building. If you're in Gainesville or Noonan or Rome, it'll be in a different place, but basically the procedure is going to be about the same. And again, this applies to 341 hearings in the Northern District of Georgia. And first of all, the reason they call it a 341 hearing is that Section 341 of the Bankruptcy Code says that all Chapter 7 debtors have to appear at a hearing to be examined by a trustee. So be aware that the person who's conducting the hearing is the Chapter 7 trustee. It is not the judge, it is the trustee. And the purpose of the hearing is for the trustee to do a brief evaluation, brief examination to confirm that the evidence that you're giving in your petition is in fact accurate. As far as what to do to prepare, one is I think you should just know what to wear. I always tell my clients, you know, dressy casual is probably the best way to go. I don't like people necessarily to come in a coat and tie. Again, you want to, you know, most people are not going to be in coat and ties except for attorneys, so I don't typically tell people to do that. But don't come in shorts and a ripped t-shirt either. I think dressy casual, a nice shirt, pair of slacks is appropriate. That way you're showing appropriate respect for the court, but you don't look like you're wealthy and hiding something. Secondly is, if you're wearing jewelry, make sure that jewelry is disclosed in your bankruptcy case. I remember I had a case one time where a client shows up wearing a Rolex watch that he never bothered to mention before. Trustees look for that sort of thing. So if you're wearing jewelry, make sure that it was properly disclosed in your bankruptcy case. If you've not already done so, you need to make sure that you bring a copy of your most recently filed tax return, federal tax return. Now, generally, I get the tax returns to the trustee ahead of time, but in the event that the trustee doesn't have your tax return for this past year, you want to bring and have it with you. You want to make sure, and this is very, very important, you have two separate forms of ID. One needs to be a picture ID, and of course your driver's license or passport is a good example of a picture ID. The second piece of ID, which has got to be completely separate, not the same form of ID, a separate form of ID, needs to have your full Social Security number on it. This can be a Social Security card, this can be a health insurance card, this can be a letter from the IRS, something that is government issued or health insurance company issued that has your full and complete social on it. It's not good enough to have XXX, and the last 4 digits. It's got to be the full social. And if you don't have that, the trustee either will not hold the hearing or he will reset the hearing. So you will not be able to complete your 341 hearing if you don't have your full social. So it's real important to set that aside. Don't wait till the day before to start looking for it. Look for it. Make sure you've got that away. In fact, what I try to do is if my client remembers, I'll make a photocopy of both forms of ID, have it in my file, so that if for some reason your wallet gets stolen, pocketbook gets stolen, I've got a copy of the ID. But it's really important. They will not hold the hearings without the ID. As far as the questions that are asked, that's going to change periodically. I've got a list of them on various websites, and I'll put a link there here in this video. But there are various questions that are pretty straightforward, and really what the trustee is wanting to confirm is that everything is pretty much accurate, nothing significant has changed. If something has changed, then you would tell your attorney prior to the hearing, we can address that. But you want to prepare for the questions by looking at what your attorney gives you. In my case, I'll give you either a piece of paper or a link to a website. You're also going to be asked typically to fill out a brief debtor questionnaire. Again, every trustee is a little bit different, but the debtor questionnaire the trustee is going to give you is going to ask you if you have any child support debt. It's going to ask you, have you lived in the jurisdiction for the past couple of years? These are questions they used to ask. Now they do it in writing form. And so typically, if I know the trustee, I'll provide that to you ahead of time, or certainly we can look at it when we get there. It'll be floating around the room. There's also a debtor information page floating floating around the room, which their trustee will ask you, have you read that? I will give you a copy of that prior to at the time you file your case. But you'll be asked, the big pictures, you'll be asked to read a bunch of stuff and confirm that you've read it. You'll be asked, have you met with your attorney and have you given all the information? Did you sign your paperwork after it was completed? You didn't sign blank paperwork. They're going to ask you that type of thing. So again, this is really more of a verification process. The whole thing lasts about 5 to 7 minutes. It's very, very brief. I would tell you, and if I was going through this, I would show up at court 30, 45 minutes ahead of time and watch. I mean, these things are open to the public. It's always a good idea to watch 3 or 4 or 5 of these hearings so you get a sense of what the trustee is asking. That way, if you have a concern about how to answer the question, you can go to your attorney and go to me and say, okay, how do I answer this question? The trustee is asking a person, has anything changed? And, you know, I had something change. I got a raise, or I got a reduction in my salary, or one of my kids off to college. How do I deal with that? And that's the sort of thing that, again, you want to take care of ahead of time. You don't want to be at your 341 actually testifying and then starting to think about what do I say here and trying to talk to me during the hearing. You want to deal with that ahead of time. So really the best thing to do to prepare for it is to be prepared. That is to read up as much as you can, to watch a few of them, and to talk to your attorney in depth prior to the case being called. I always talk to my clients afterwards as well. We talk about what, if anything, we need to do. But that's what happens with a 341 hearing in Chapter 7. Again, nothing to be too worried about. Generally, nothing happens real fast in bankruptcy. If there's a problem, we'll have plenty of time to fix it. But again, be prepared, avoid any problems, and it'll go very smoothly. So that's what happens. That's how to prepare for a Chapter 7 341 hearing. Any questions about it, call my office, 770-393-4985. And again, my name is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I look forward to talking to you if I can help. We'll talk to you soon.